Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is the third and final custom video for M. We've been looking at his Rolex journey. Links to video 1 and 2 in the description of this video. Check those out, but let's read a little bit about our author. I don't really want to sell the 14060M as it's my first, and it's such a classic. But I would consider it if I went for the Sea Dweller, which we talked about in video 1. I have small wrists, so a 40mm is ideally the largest I'd want to go. Let me just tell you right now the same thing I said in the first video. Don't sell that 14060M. You bought it new, box and papers, unpolished, stickered. It's a special watch to have. It's your first Rolex. Don't do it. Don't do it. You love the aesthetics of the 14060M, all right? And they are special. And the proportions of that watch are much better than a 40mm 16600 40mm pre-ceramic Sea Dweller, okay? And I know you want your cake and eat it too. You want your date, but you won't have to suffer the Cyclops. But look, it doesn't quite have the balance and beauty of your 14060M. You will miss that. That's one of the things you love about your sub. And bad decision right there. Add that Sea Dweller if that's something you want to do, but don't sell that 14060M. Hold on to that. Question, what would you do? Go for the white dial 39mm Oyster perpetual? Prices seem a little high at the moment, but I would be able to pull the trigger anytime. Still, it wouldn't have the date. No, it wouldn't have the date, and it's going to have less functions, obviously, than your current no-date sub, which has the rotating bezel. And so you got to ask yourself, what is it going to bring to the table? Like your no-date sub, it's a minimalist watch, balanced dial, aesthetics. Okay, you're really going to be buying that for the aesthetics it has to offer because it offers nothing in terms of extra functions. Now, it does offer wearability, perhaps in more different situations. You could wear that to work and with a suit. Probably better than you'd be able to pull off the no-date sub. Though, I think a no-date sub would be fine with a suit, but look, the Oyster Perpetual would be better. Now, it's going to offer you a different kind of watch, a more traditional watch, a time-only watch, like your no-date sub, but really the purest sort of base Oyster. And it's going to have the different dial color. And one of the things that you like about your sub is the aesthetics. One thing that's lacking is the functions, okay? And so you're going to get more something with the aesthetics with the Oyster Perpetual, but again, it's not going to satisfy what's lacking in your life, and that appears to be a watch with a date and functions. So it's a great watch to have, but I really don't think it's going to ultimately satisfy you. That's not to say it's not worth picking up, because I think that could be a collectible watch, but I think they're kind of expensive at the moment, and really, when should you have gotten that watch? Well, back before it was discontinued. So you're sort of late to the game. And so picking one up now, you're going to pay for it. The question is it really going to add much to your collection? And are you going to really enjoy the aesthetics of that watch? It's not particularly sporty, not nearly as much as your no-date sub. It's going to be less functional. It's going to be a little bit more dressy. I mean, is that the route you want to go? Are you a sporty guy? For me, no-date sub all the way. So this would be a nice watch to have, but paying the premium to add it, I don't think is really going to give you a lot. Or save up for the Grail, the 1655 we talked about in the second video. That would be $25,000 to $30,000 at the moment. No signs of slowing on the price front. And I'm not sure I could wear a watch that old and valuable as much as I would like to. Maybe I should never attain the Grail and leave it as a pursuit. All right, so the 1655, well, that would be quite a watch to add. And he touches on something that I think about, and the wearability of such a watch. And could you wear it? You could. The question is, would you, and would you want to? And would I like to have a 1655? Sure. But Would I wear it? Absolutely not. I mean, I couldn't in good faith feel comfortable wearing what I view as such an important part of Rolex history. I couldn't do it, all right? I wouldn't have any fun doing it, and if I were to have a 1655, it would live in the bank safe, and there's some enjoyment in that, but not really. And so to spend $25,000 to $30,000 to hoard a watch seems a bit of a waste. So that's why I like watches from around the 2000s. You get that neo-vintage, sort of vintage feel with the pre-ceramics, but they're very usable. And again, you could use a 1655. It's just how comfortable would you feel using it? And for me, I wouldn't. And I could have all the money in the world. That's not really it. It's not about whether I could replace it. It's whether this particular watch could be replaced. I wouldn't want to swim with a watch like that. I mean, can you imagine water breach? Again, you could have all the money in the world, but if you ruin the dial on that watch, it's one less 1655 in the world, and that's your fault. I wouldn't want that on me, all right? So I think it's a great grail to have, and I think you touch on whether you would actually wear it and whether you would have fun wearing it. And that's a big thing. Would you have fun wearing it? A watch can be too much, okay? Maybe it's you love the watch too much. Maybe it's too expensive for you to be comfortable with, but a watch can just be too much, whether it's too much money, too important, too horologically significant for you to get enjoyment out of, depending on what kind of person you are. Also, with 1655 ownership comes a pretty high level of responsibility. I mean, this is a $30,000 watch, and I'm not just talking about where you keep your watch, but how you take care of it, how you have it serviced. Do you take it to RSC? Got to be careful there. You don't want them replacing parts. Will some RSCs work with you, considering it's a pretty collectible 1655, historically significant? Probably, but you'd have to check. You might want to source a third-party watchmaker that you trust with your $30,000 watch. You have to be careful. They can screw up everything in an instant. So there comes a pretty high level of responsibility. You're almost like its caretaker, okay? And I don't know if I would want that kind of responsibility. It doesn't sound so fun to me. Now, of course, you don't have to be that kind of guy. You could say, screw it, I'm gonna wear my 1655. I'm gonna wear the hell out of it everywhere. And if something happens to it, well, whatever. You could do that too. So I wouldn't have fun wearing it. And the weight of being responsible and treating that watch the way I feel about it as an important part of Rolex history, it wouldn't be so much fun. All right, so keep that in mind. Keep in mind all of the pitfalls that can happen when you buy a watch that's decades old, all of the funny business, all your due diligence, all for what? This heavy piece of responsibility for an important watch. Forget about the money, all right? Just think about what you're bargaining for. I don't think it's so fun. So for me, I think just kind of looking at them from afar and appreciating them and loving them without having to have one and take care of it and all the pitfalls that come with that, that's good enough for me. Okay, I can appreciate it from afar like a piece of art, and I'm happy. All right, he adds, something I'm missing? I'm counting on you here, buddy. Bonus question, should I sell the Pepsi and risk the ire of my authorized dealer or hang on to it? Let's look at his collection. He's got a no-date pre-ceramic sub. He's got a current Pepsi GMT Master 2 126710 BLRO. All right. He's got a perfect two-piece collection. He's got his minimalist dial pre-ceramic piece. He's got his highly functional and wearable modern piece. He's got his diver. He's got his GMT function. Both sporty, incredibly desirable, beautiful watches. You're done. You're done. I mean, add the OP if that's what you want, but you've got everything. You've got the art in the no-date sub. You've got the functionality of the GMT. Look, I think one problem is you're not appreciating the aesthetics of the GMT, all right? And it's easy to do. And I used to be a real, oh, I like pre-ceramics more than ceramics. Forget about all that. They both have their place. They both have their beauties. They both have their merits. And you got both. That's great. You got the best of both worlds. And yes, there's not a lot of balance on a watch with a Cyclops, but hey man, that's wabi-sabi. That's a Japanese concept where you see beauty in imperfection and really appreciating the beauty of that BLRO. GMT Master 2, it's all in your mind, man, and it's all there with the beautiful Oyster bracelet and the shiny Cerachrome bezel and the modern movement and the modern aesthetic and a little bit of wabi-sabi with that Cyclops and of course the functionality. And it looks to me, Em, like you have Horological Nirvana in your hands with your no-date pre-ceramic and your ceramic GMT. It's right there. Okay, Horological Nirvana. It's just up to you to open your mind enough to appreciate it. So no, I wouldn't sell the Pepsi unless you hate it. And why do you hate it? All right, so you've got two excellent watches. This is a perfect two-piece collection. I've always said that, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 watches, and to be honest, I was happiest with 2, is the sweet spot. And you're there, all right? So embrace that. Learn to love the functions on that GMT. Learn to love the aesthetics. Learn to appreciate wabi-sabi. Learn to appreciate the Cyclops. It's a part of Rolex. Bonus question. Would it be sacrilege to replace a Cyclops crystal with a non-Cyclops crystal, say on a 16710? That's a pre-ceramic GMT Master 2. Because I often think about how good that might look. All right, well, when it comes to funny business like that, it's not something I would do. But look, if you do that, it instantly nullifies any sort of service warranty, so be careful about that. And I don't know if Rolex is going to want to mess with your watch after that, so you're going to have to obviously do that through a third-party watchmaker. If you keep the crystal, I want to say no harm done, but what I would rather do personally is I would rather come to grips with the aesthetics. And again, it's all in your mind, all right? So, you know, it's like a person. You can try to change them, or you can step back and change yourself and appreciate them and see the beauty in aspects of them. So to want to alter the 16710, I'm not altogether against it. Never in a million years would it be something I would do, but as long as you keep the parts, no harm done. But I would turn to yourself and work on yourself, Em, not the watch. The watch is perfect, okay? Well, it's about as perfect as you allow it to be. It's all in your mind, all right? All right, guys, that will do it. Thank you, Em, for your custom video request. I do appreciate it. And guys, help Em out. What should he do? Final thoughts. Don't sell your no-date sub. When I look at your two-piece collection, those 2 watches work perfectly together. Each one offers something that the other doesn't. And all you have to do is just open up and accept the 2-piece collection of perfection that you have, all right? Of course, you could always add the OP. You could always add the 16600 Sea Dweller, but you're in a great place, and you don't really need to add those, and those watches aren't going to give anything that your current pieces don't already have, aside from, you know, some slightly different aesthetics and maybe a function. You know, it's nothing that your 2-piece current collection doesn't have. So it's all there in front of you. Learn to appreciate it. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Take care, and I'll see you next time.